I guess on the first episode, I said, my cars are going to shape the world. Taken from everything. I'm not happy with all my mistakes.
Not being happy with where my life is going, I decided to change it, and I took it and put it in my own hands. Those words changed everything for one man. But what happened when the cameras stopped rolling?
Never been this many cars here before 9 o'clock. I'm having a big feeling that it's going to be a full house today. I like this little hot rod, eh? Tony Gadet. Yeah, cool. Looks good, man.
When the fame turned into something darker, when the losses became too heavy to bear. Today, we're uncovering the truth about Chad Hiltz from Bad Chad Customs. And I'm warning you right now, this story goes places you won't expect. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button. Because what happened to Chad? It could happen to anyone chasing their dreams. And you need to hear this. The rise. Let me take you back to when it all started. Picture this. A small workshop in Canning, Nova Scotia. Population, barely 1,000 people. In this tiny corner of Canada, one man was about to change the custom car world forever. Chad Hiltz wasn't born with a silver spoon. He didn't have fancy tools or a trust fund. What he had was vision. The kind of vision that sees a pile of scrap metal and imagines a Bugatti. The kind that looks at coat hangers and thinks, yeah, I can build a car with that. When Discovery Channel came knocking, they found gold. Not the polished, corporate kind of gold. Raw, authentic, real gold. The kind that makes for unforgettable television. Bad Chad Customs premiered, and the response was immediate. Viewers were hooked. Here was a show that felt different. No massive budgets, no celebrity cameos, just Chad, his fiancée Jolene, his son Colton, and a crew of locals who believed in the impossible. Week after week, they transformed literal garbage into automotive art. But here's what nobody tells you about overnight success. It's never actually overnight. Behind every episode, there was chaos. Discovery's schedule was relentless. Back-to-back builds, impossible deadlines. And here's the thing about creativity. You can't schedule it like a factory line. You can't force inspiration to show up at 9 a.m. because a producer needs footage. Chad was learning this the hard way. Projects that should have taken months were compressed into weeks. Budgets that seemed reasonable on paper became nightmares in reality. Every delay meant money lost. Every extra day meant tensions rising. And then the world changed. The pandemic strikes. March 2020. You remember it. We all do. The world stopped spinning, and for a show that depended on teamwork, close quarters, and constant movement, it was devastating. Supply chains crumbled, hardware stores closed, the small crew got even smaller as safety protocols kicked in. Suddenly, filming a TV show about building cars became the least important thing in a world fighting for survival. But the pressure didn't stop. Discovery still wanted content. Sponsors still expected results. Fans still demanded new episodes. The ratings were steady. Good even. But in television, good isn't always good enough. Discovery was shifting focus to bigger shows. Names, bigger budgets, and a small shop in Nova Scotia, no matter how talented, was becoming harder to justify. Then came the complication nobody saw coming. Remember Chad's most iconic build? That bright green, sharp-grinned masterpiece that became his calling card? The Green Goblin? It was perfect, memorable, marketable. It was also a problem. Sometime in 2020, while Chad was juggling pandemic restrictions and production demands, an envelope arrived. Inside, a cease and desist letter from Marvel Comics. Now, I want you to imagine this for a second. You're a small-town builder. You've just started getting recognition. Your signature build, the one everyone associates with you, suddenly becomes legally off-limits. Not because you did anything malicious, just because a corporate giant decided to protect their intellectual property. What would you do? Fight? Lawyer up? Make noise? Chad did none of that. He made a decision that tells you everything about his character. He let it go, renamed everything, rebranded to Hiltz Auto Co., updated the merchandise, the signs, the social media, all of it. Was it expensive? Absolutely. Was it frustrating? You bet. But Chad had learned something crucial. The cars weren't about the names, they were about the craft. People came for the cars, not the labels, he said later. Simple, honest, true. But here's the part that should make your heart sink. The Green Goblin controversy happened at the worst possible time. The pandemic was raging, production was impossible, sponsors were pulling back, Discovery was restructuring, and then nothing. Season 2 wrapped in August 2020. No finale announcement, no see you next season, no farewell episode. The show just stopped. Fans waited. Days turned to weeks. Weeks turned to months. Social media was silent. No promos, no trailers, nothing. You know what that silence sounds like? It sounds like cancellation without the courage to say it out loud. Bad Chad Customs was over, and nobody had the decency to make it official. The fall. Here's what they don't show you on reality TV. What happens when the cameras turn off and the criticism turns on? Chad went from being a small-town builder to being recognized across North America. Sounds like a dream, right? Wrong. With fame came scrutiny, and not the constructive kind. Online forums exploded with opinions. Other builders questioned his methods. Too fast, they said. Skip steps, they claimed. Some even accused the entire show of being staged. Imagine this. You spend your entire life perfecting a craft. You pour your heart into every build. You share your process with the world. And the response? Strangers on the internet telling you you're doing it wrong. Chad tried to brush it off at first. That's what you do, right? Ignore the haters. Focus on the work. But the noise kept growing. Louder, meaner, more personal. They criticized his builds. They criticized his attitude. They even criticized the mess in his shop. As if creativity happens in a sterile, organized environment. The exhaustion was setting in. Not the physical kind. Chad could handle physical work. This was different. This was soul-deep tiredness. The kind that makes you question why you started in the first place. But the hardest blow? It wasn't coming from strangers on the internet. Late 2024. While Chad was dealing with online criticism and shop pressures, his fiancée Jolene received news that would shatter their world. Her mother, Jacqueline Jackie McIntyre, was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Let that sink in for a moment. Terminal. The word doctors use when there's no hope left. When all you can do is make the time that remains as comfortable as possible. For Jolene, the organizational backbone of Hiltz Auto Company, the person who kept everything running while Chad built, this was devastating beyond words. And here's the truly heartbreaking part. Jackie passed away just 5 weeks later. 5 weeks. At only 61 years old. I need you to understand something. Jolene wasn't just Chad's partner. She managed the books. She handled sponsorships. She coordinated logistics. While Chad was the creative force, Jolene was the engine that kept the business moving forward. When grief hit her, it didn't just affect her personally. It affected everything. How do you manage business operations when you can barely get out of bed? How do you think about sponsorships and deadlines when you've just lost your mother? How do you continue at the same relentless pace when your heart is shattered into a million pieces? The answer is, you can't, and you shouldn't have to. Early 2025. Chad and Jolene made a decision. They had to slow down. This wasn't about quitting. This wasn't about failure. This was about survival, about choosing mental health and emotional recovery over content schedules and public expectations. They restructured the business, delegated more responsibilities to their small team, took time to breathe, to grieve, to heal. But here's what happened next, and this is where the internet showed its worst side. The YouTube uploads slowed down. The couple appeared less in public, and immediately fans started speculating. The shop must have closed. They must have gone bankrupt. Chad and Jolene must have broken up. None of it was true, but that didn't stop the rumors from spreading like wildfire. Car forums exploded with theories. Social media was flooded with speculation. People who had never met Chad or Jolene suddenly became experts on their relationship status. Some claimed Jolene had left the shop. Others said she'd moved away. A few went even further, creating elaborate breakup narratives out of thin air, all because they took time to grieve. But the relationship rumors weren't the only mystery brewing. Around the same time, longtime fans noticed something else strange. Doug and Nate, two regulars who'd been fixtures on the Bad Chad YouTube channel, had vanished. No goodbye video, no announcement, no explanation. They just stopped appearing. At first, nobody said anything. Maybe they were on vacation. Maybe they were working on other projects. But weeks turned into months, and the comments started piling up. Where are Doug and Nate? What happened to the old crew? Why isn't anyone talking about this? The theories started immediately. Money disputes, credit disagreements, royalty arguments. Some fans claimed Doug and Nate had quit over unfair treatment. Others hinted at behind-the-scenes drama that would never see the light of day. Chad never addressed it directly. No statement, no clarification, nothing. What we do know is this. By late 2024, both Doug and Nate had moved on. Their last appearances came in summer videos that seemed to hint at changes. By fall, they were gone for good. For Chad, this was more than losing workers. Doug had been the steady presence behind the torch. Nate handled the delicate work, radiator repairs, fine welding, the detailed stuff that doesn't look impressive on camera but makes everything else possible. Without them, Chad had to carry more weight. The shop's rhythm changed, the workload increased, and the pressure kept building. The Resurrection, September 2025. After months of silence and speculation, a new video appeared on the Bad Chad YouTube channel. When fans clicked play, there they were, Chad and Jolene, together, working side by side, laughing, creating, looking okay, not perfect, not like nothing had happened, but present, real, alive. The video was casual, no big production, no dramatic explanations, just Chad introducing new projects, thanking fans for their patience, and getting back to work. Jolene was right there beside him, managing filming and updates just like before. The same teamwork, the same humor, the same spark that made people fall in love with Bad Chad Customs in the first place. The breakup rumors, dead on arrival. The speculation about the shop closing, immediately proven false. Sometimes, the best response to rumors is just showing up and doing the work. And that's exactly what they did. The videos started flowing again. The views came back. Tens of thousands per upload, just like old times. The community that had been worried and confused could finally breathe a sigh of relief. As of December 2025, Chad and Jolene are still engaged, still running Hiltz Auto Custom together, still building their life one custom car at a time. That break they took? They later said it helped them realize something crucial. Balance matters. The attention is nice, the business is important, but none of it means anything if you lose your peace of mind in the process. Here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Most people would look at the cancellation of their TV show as the end. Chad saw it as a beginning. Without network deadlines, without producers calling the shots, without the pressure to create drama for ratings, Chad turned to something he could fully control: his own camera and his own audience. YouTube became his new stage, and he absolutely crushed it. By 2025, the Bad Chad YouTube channel had generated more than 200 million views. 200 million! Let that number sink in. Over 389,000 subscribers tuned in regularly, many of them showing up at 6 p.m. every evening like clockwork, ready to watch Chad and Jolene work their magic. But here's the beautiful part. There was no TV filter, no scripted drama, no manufactured tension, just pure, authentic creativity. The stuff that made people love the show in the first place, only now it was unfiltered and real. Let me break down something important here. The Discovery Channel show, it paid okay. Not bad, but not life-changing. YouTube? YouTube changed the game entirely. Ad revenue from those videos became steady enough to fund new projects. Major projects, including a full 100-foot shop expansion, built almost entirely from those YouTube earnings. Then there's merchandise. Shirts, hoodies, hats with the Bad Chad logo. Fans weren't just watching anymore. They were buying, supporting, investing in the brand. Some reports estimate their total earnings since 2016 at around $2 million. Now, before you think that sounds like a fortune, remember, most of it went right back into the shop. Better tools, bigger space, more projects. Chad put it simply, we're not rich, but we get to wake up and do this every day. And that's enough. That's the secret, isn't it? Not chasing millions, not trying to become the next automotive empire, just doing work you love, with people you care about on your own terms. From the end of a TV show, Chad built his own small empire, one video at a time, one subscriber at a time, one build at a time. But the most important resurrection wasn't about YouTube views or shop expansions. It was about something much more personal. Colton Hiltz, Chad's son, had grown up surrounded by his father's work. The cars, the tools, the constant noise of the shop. But as he got older, Colton needed space to find his own path. That's normal. That's healthy. When Chad started recording YouTube videos, Colton returned, and something beautiful happened. Working together again gave them a chance to rebuild a bond that had stretched thin during the intense Bad Chad Customs filming years. Those years when Chad was always busy, always filming, always chasing the next deadline. Here's what strikes me about this. Success can cost you the very things that make success meaningful. Chad had achieved fame and recognition, but at what cost? Time with his son. Moments that don't come back. The YouTube era gave him something money can't buy. A second chance. And then, in June 2025, something remarkable happened. Colton entered a regional motorcycle competition and won the fan favorite award. This wasn't just another trophy. This was the moment Colton stepped out from his father's shadow and became a builder in his own right. His own vision, his own style, his own recognition. Chad shared the win online, and you could feel the pride radiating through the screen. This wasn't a father taking credit. This was a father celebrating his son's independent achievement. At Hiltz Auto Company, Colton gradually took on more responsibility, major fabrication work, key builds for upcoming shows, and fans noticed immediately. Watching the two work together felt like watching a circle complete itself. For Chad, having Colton back brought something he hadn't felt in a long time: calm, peace. A reminder of why he fell in love with building in the first place. It wasn't about fame anymore. It wasn't about proving anything to anyone. It was about creation, about family, about passing something meaningful to the next generation. Once the TV pressure lifted and Chad spent more time at home, something interesting happened. The shop transformed. It wasn't just a garage anymore. It became an open classroom, a place where younger builders could show up, get their hands dirty, and learn by watching a master at work. Colton was the first, but he wasn't the last. Chad started opening the shop to local builders. No formality, no applications. Just, you want to learn? Come on in. He'd give his time freely, share techniques, offer encouragement, give the same kind of push he once had to find for himself when he was starting out. At his Rockabilly Weekend Festival, something he's run since 1998, he began offering hands-on demos. Nothing fancy, just chances for young people to pick up a hammer, shape some metal, help on a small project. Messy, noisy, honest, the real feel of shop life. His message to them was simple: if I could make something from nothing, so can you. But the community work went deeper than just teaching welding. Back in 2019, Chad and Jolene put together a Build for Jake's House, a small organization helping families living with autism. They created a custom car and raffled it off to raise funds. The next year, they did it again. Another build, another car, this time for a local youth group. Here's what's remarkable. They never turned it into a headline. No press releases, no social media campaigns, no attempts to leverage it for publicity. They just did it because they cared. Most times, nobody even knew about it unless they were there helping too. When people asked why he kept doing that sort of thing, Chad would shrug and say it wasn't really charity. To him, it was just being part of the same community that gave him a hand when he was getting started. He didn't see himself as special. Awards and headlines never meant much to Chad. What mattered most wasn't the fame. It was sharing what he knew and helping someone else get there. Start. Some days, it was just one young builder stopping by, eager to learn. And for Chad, that was enough. That's the kind of thing that lasts longer than any TV show ever could. The present day. So where does all of this leave us? What's happening with Chad Hiltz right now, today, as you're watching this video? At 44 years old, Chad still spends most of his days in the same canning, Nova Scotia shop he started in years ago. That small garage behind his house has evolved into a full workshop with a 60 by 100 feet showroom, wide enough to roll in finished cars, set them under the lights, and let visitors walk around without squeezing past toolboxes. The shop feels busier these days, but the rhythm hasn't really changed. Jolene handles most of the calls and paperwork, keeping track of customers and new orders. Colton spends his hours focused on fabrication and the smaller repairs that keep things moving. It's still a family operation, just running at a different scale now. And that small-town feel? It hasn't gone anywhere. On any given day, you'll find 3 or 4 projects in progress. Maybe a handmade Bugatti replica with tricky rivet work on the hood. A stripped-down bike built from old Suzuki parts, each one moving at its own pace. Cut, weld, step back, look at it, keep going until it feels right. That's still how Chad works, the same way he always has. No shortcuts, no compromises, just pure dedication to the craft. He doesn't stay put all year, though, when there's breathing room at the shop. Chad heads out to shows, SEMA in Las Vegas, Motorama in Toronto, if the timing works. Sometimes smaller meets, where everyone already knows his name. But here's the thing, he doesn't go to make headlines anymore. That part of his life feels long past. Mostly, it's about catching up, talking shop, trading stories with people who've been doing the same thing their whole lives. Real connections, real conversations, and after a few days of chaos and constant travel, he starts to crave the quiet again. He heads back home to Nova Scotia, where the tools wait and the work feels real again. Let me ask you something. When this video started, what did you expect to find? Did you think we'd uncover some scandal, some dramatic downfall, some tragic ending? The truth is more complex and, in many ways, more inspiring than any of that. What really happened to Chad Hiltz? He survived. He adapted. He chose family over fame, quality over quantity, peace over pressure. He faced cancellation and didn't quit. He dealt with legal issues and moved forward. He experienced profound loss and found a way through grief. He lost crew members and kept building. He weathered rumors and speculation and came out the other side still standing. There are lessons here for anyone chasing a dream. First, your worth isn't determined by whether you're on TV. Chad's most successful period came after the show ended, when he took control of his own narrative. Second, family and relationships matter more than metrics. All the views and subscribers in the world don't mean anything if you lose the people you love in the process. Third, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is slow down. In a culture that celebrates hustle and grind, Chad and Jolene chose to pause, grieve, and heal. That wasn't weakness, that was wisdom. Fourth, community over competition. Chad could have hoarded his knowledge, protected his techniques, kept young builders at arm's length. Instead, he opened his doors and shared everything he knew. Fifth, success doesn't always look like you expect. Chad's empire isn't corporate offices and franchises. It's a family shop in a tiny Nova Scotia town, building cars that make people's jaws drop. That's real success, the kind that lasts, the kind that matters. Conclusion. So what really happened to Chad Hiltz from Bad Chad Customs? He grew up. He evolved. He became more than a TV personality. He became a master craftsman, a teacher, a father reconnecting with his son, a partner supporting someone through grief, a community leader quietly helping the next generation. The cameras may have stopped rolling, but the work never stopped. The creativity never stopped. The passion never stopped. In an industry obsessed with going bigger, louder, and more corporate, Chad chose to stay small, authentic, and real. In a culture that measures success by follower counts and bank accounts, he chose to measure it by the quality of his work and the depth of his relationships. That's not what happened to Chad Hiltz. That's who he chose to become. Right now, as you're watching this, Chad is probably in his shop. Maybe he's welding. Maybe he's stepping back to look at a project from a different angle. Maybe he's showing Colton a technique. Maybe he's laughing with Jolene about something that went wrong. The Bad Chad YouTube channel continues to grow. The shop continues to produce incredible builds. The community continues to support them. There's no dramatic ending here, no shocking revelation, just a man doing what he loves, with people he cares about, on his own terms. And honestly, that's the most powerful ending of all. If this story moved you, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that success doesn't always look like fame and fortune. Sometimes it looks like a small shop in Nova Scotia where a father and son build impossible things together. Drop a comment and let me know. What lesson from Chad's story resonated most with you? And remember, whether you're building cars, starting a business, creating art, or chasing any dream, the path isn't always straight. Sometimes the cancellations, the setbacks, the losses, and the quiet periods are exactly what you need to become who you're meant to be. Chad Hiltz didn't disappear. He didn't fail. He didn't give up. He just stopped performing and started living. And maybe that's the real story we all needed to hear.